Good morning, students. Another beautiful day outside. Blech. But thought we'd talk a little bit more about the notes we have, more about the time periods. There's 4 eras of time. The first one was the precambrian time. And this includes all the way from really the beginning of the creation of Earth all the way till the Paleozoic. So in the Precambrian time, very, very simple life. If you look at the picture, very simple life. All we have is basically bacteria and some very small kind of jellyfish creatures, very soft-bodied organisms. At the end of the Precambrian time, we have the big freeze. We have the Rodinia almost froze solid. The Earth almost froze solid, killed off most of the species and almost extinguished life. But at the end of the Precambrian, at the beginning of the next era, which is the Paleozoic, we see an explosion of ancient life. So Paleozoic literally means ancient life. It occurred 542 to 251 million years ago. The Paleozoic really was the development of complex life. So in the early Paleozoic, we see the age of the marine invertebrates. So we see an explosion of the number of species that only lived in the sea. So things like trilobites and ancient sponges and some fungus developed in the early Paleozoic. Very high sea levels, very warm climates. All living things lived in the ocean during the early Paleozoic period. As we transition, okay, this is the picture of the early Paleozoic. You can see this in your notes. We see a nautolite, which is that thing that looks a little bit like, I don't know, a little bit like an ammonite today. We see some other brachiopods. We see a trilobite. At the end of the early Paleozoic and the middle Paleozoic, though, we've got a breakthrough. We've got fishes, and we got fish that have backbones and jawed fish. This is the age of the fishes in the middle of the Paleozoic. This is the Devonian and the Silurian period. An explosion. Okay, we call this the age of the fishes. So in the middle Paleozoic, you notice there's a shark in the background. We see the evolution of sharks. We see plated fish. We still see a lot of the organisms on the bottom. We still see a lot of organisms from the early Paleozoic. The middle Paleozoic, everything still lives pretty much in the ocean. And at the end of the Paleozoic, late Paleozoic, we see the first land organisms. So we see evolution of the first amphibians. We believe the amphibians evolved into the first reptiles. We see large coal swamps during the Carboniferous period. The coal that we have today, most of it evolved in the Paleozoic. And in the late Paleozoic, we see Pangea. You remember Pangea was all the continents coming together. That came together in the late Paleozoic period. So in the late Paleozoic at the beginning, all we had was dragonflies. And in the late Paleozoic, we see this finback reptile evolve at the end of the Paleozoic. It's called Dimetrodon. You notice there's some conifers in the background. We also see these are cycads, large ferns. So we see the evolution of the first amphibian and reptile in the late Paleozoic. So thought I'd run through the notes with you. Tomorrow or next week, we'll talk about the Mesozoic and the Cenozoic period. Okay, have a good day. See you soon.